So I'm whispering, looking tired, sounding tired because it's 4:30. Young man is in bed right above me, but I'm lifting. I'm going to talk about lifting today. We're going to go through the 5 biggest mistakes I've made trying to build muscle with my training. Probably going to be a different title when I post this. JackedDad episode. You know what? Like, I genuinely think I could have more muscle on me with a better shape right now if I'd not fucked about for maybe 5 to 10 years when I first started lifting. Let's say 5 years. There is a lot of fucking about that went on. I'm going to talk you through my mistakes. The ones I've made in past that I'm about 98% certain every single one of you will be making or has made, and they're the things that are stopping you from maximising your muscle building. Not genes, not your age, not even your broken down old fart body, but it can certainly build some muscle if you know how. So, let's go. Dumbbell bench now for 2 sets of 8. Obviously what I'm going to do is just walk up and down rack. Just pick up what I think I lifted last week and just see how it goes. I'm not really. Last week I did 40s for 8 and 7. 8's my target. Once I get to 8 I can go up in weight. Hey, if you train at a JD and you unfortunately have to use this absolute fucking medieval torture devices, if you can find an ab mat, put it between your shin and the actual pad to lift with, it makes it a hell of a lot more tolerable. Welcome back. So, in terms of a little update, went to gym earlier, weighed in beforehand. So I'm sitting between 189 and 191 pound-ish. And my weight's up a pound on average roughly from last month, which is perfect. Not chasing a pound a week, which I've done in past, been guilty of that. Chasing like £1 to £2 per month. I'm very happy with that. It means I stay in a decent body composition, but clearly we'll be building some muscle, particularly if gym performance is improving, which on the whole it is. So, biggest muscle building mistakes I've made throughout the whole entire lifting career, which kind of like, it spans pre-max into having max up to now. I think sometimes we have to step away from being like, I'm a dad and this needs to be vastly different, and towards fitting myself in has to be different. But ultimately, like, training is training. The stimulus has to be the stimulus. The outcome will be the same for us. We just have to make sure we work well with it. We need to make sure that it works well for us and our body within our time constraints. But ultimately, like, you're only going to grow from a certain amount of work, and that needs to get done regardless. And that kind of strips me back to the very first mistake I made. If this is a thing that you're falling flat on your face with right now, you're probably not going to get very far. And it's training without a plan. If you're going into gym, wandering around, looking at every bit of kit, thinking which one's best, I'll just do that this week because it's free. if you flip-flop from one exercise to the next for different reps, just seeing how it goes, how can you expect to ask your body to respond to it? Your body has to have some repeated movements week on week on week. It has to have a repeated demand placed on it that it can then adapt from and grow. Not only that, right, but like motivation's absolutely down the toilet if you haven't got a plan to follow. You're not excited to go in and beat something. You don't even go into it feeling confident. You go into it thinking, I don't even know what I'm doing here. This is when like you end up just relying on motivation alone. In my initial years, it'd be that like I'd maybe go in Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, then weekend would come round, didn't really have a plan to follow it. It'd be easy to sack it off and go out and bin me sent off over weekend. I'd maybe do well for 3 weeks, be off plan, and I say off plan, that's wrong because I didn't have a plan. I'd sack it off for 2 to 3 weeks. Everything changed when I started following some kind of plans. Didn't get it right first time. It's almost fucking pointless going if you're not going to have a plan. Don't get me wrong, exercise is exercise, yeah. But we're talking about building muscle here. We're talking about actively changing your physique. It needs structure. A good plan should give you that. It should also give you confidence and enjoyment and belief that what you're doing is going to work. Now that challenges into better sessions, probably less injuries because you're not fucking just randomly picking weights up, and probably more motivation longer term. Mistake number 2, fast forward a few years. I start following programs. Yeah, me, well played. I'd be getting like plans from Men's Health, Muscle and Fitness. Internet wasn't really as big when I started doing this. It were more your magazines. So like, don't confuse this with me saying these were great plans, but it were like, I'd follow Tim Kennedy, do you know, UFC fighter. I don't want to be a fighter. Don't need to be doing all of that conditioning. I want to build some muscle and look bigger. I want to be more jacked. I want to feel better in my body and not just like how I can move. I know I can move. I'm fine. I just want to look better. I'd follow Ronnie Coleman's. Needless amount of volume, badly split out across my week because it were in like a bit of a bro split, chest, back, legs. I'd end up always skipping legs. I'd always overdo arms. I'd always try chest. But this is the mistake I'd make following those plans. I would have grown if I'd followed those plans. Not as well as if the plan were tailored to me, but I would have grown I would have grown more and made the most of my time if I'd written it down. Instead, I'm going in and I'm just picking up what I think I did last week. I remember now I had the workouts cut out at magazine and I'd take them with me, but I'm not writing it down. Now, the driver within this obviously is, like I said, that repeated imposed demand on each muscle that you are then going to increase, whether that's via reps or whether that's via weight on bar or dumbbell or whatever it is that you're doing, and hitting the hard reps within that. It's the only way you're going to ask muscle to grow. There's no shocking and confusing or anything like that. We have to take what we did last week and try to improve it next as often as we can, as consistently as we can. Now, if you're writing none of it down, how do you know? I probably spent 2 years just trying to bench the 30s, dumbbell bench the 30s. Mate, and with my technique as well, I couldn't even dumbbell bench 20s well, I don't think. But I'd go, right, 30s, I'll pick them up. Nah, I ain't got it, so I'd go back down to like 26s. Just randomly try to pick 28s and 30s up. There were no real like progression. It'd just be like, shall I try it today? And because my tech isn't on point, and because I'm not very consistent, because I've got no points of reference from a numbers standpoint. Like, what did I do last week? How did it feel? I'm never really progressing. I'm just hoping. So you can see we need a program, and we need to be writing down what we're doing, minimums each week, not just going in and being like, it's okay though I am lifting. It's not okay. Lifting alone is not enough. You have to take it more seriously than that. Let's fast forward now, because I then spent years, and this is like coming towards us having Max. I'm doing this as a job now. We've had Max. I'm building my own plans. Winner. I've been writing shit down in logbooks for years now. Actual like diary books. And then I'd look back, try to improve on it every single week. The next mistake that I made, which no doubt held me back, I'd be doing barbell bench because I thought it'd grow more. I'd be doing deadlifts because I thought they grew more muscle. I'd be clearly doing a movement that was aggravating issues, and then not changing it. Like, I'd have an endless shoulder niggle, and instead of just trying to adapt it, I'd just push on and be like, it's okay, I need to build muscle, I need to keep doing this. Just trying to force myself to progress through those movements when, to be fair, I didn't even like them, and sometimes they were tiring, but the program said I needed to do it. In all honesty, I made a lot of issues for myself trying to improve. If I'd have been better at selecting exercises, rep targets, training setups that weren't hurting me, I'd have done a hell of a lot better. Quite hard that when you're in it. A coach would have helped me a shit ton. Didn't have the funds at that point in time. Right, we can keep this one short but sweet. I used to change my programs every 4 weeks. Sometimes it was through boredom, but it were only through boredom because I tried to do a program that was a bit shit. More often than not though, it was what I thought I had to do. Okay, every 4 weeks, I'll smash myself and go really hard over 4 weeks. Try to chase progress that probably wasn't mine to take. So trying to jump from, let's say, a 30 dumbbell to a 32 to a 36 within 3 weeks, instead of earning the right to progress through some good rep progressions, I'd just try to go boom, boom, boom. I'd deadlift and I'd go like, right, fucking 120 in week 1, to 140 in week 2, to 160 in week 3.
I broke my back, spinal.
Deload in week 4, but I'd need to deload in week 4 because I'd progressed so quickly, because I knew I only had 3 to 4 weeks worth to get there, that I'd be fucking injured. I'd either be injured or I'd be thinking, I can't progress this because it's battering me. And I'd be like, right, now let me change things up. What I needed to do was commit maybe to 6 to 8 weeks of no changes and be really patient with progression. 1 rep, 1 week, if needed. Right? Be okay with sitting at the exact same weight for multiple weeks if that's where I'm at and if that's the progression I need to take. It's arguably where I think most lads will see a massive uptake, a massive change in the amount of muscle they build, maintain, whatever phase you're in, whether it's a muscle building phase or a fat loss phase. Stop changing it every 4 weeks. Because you'll be spending 2 of those weeks learning the movements. You get comfortable in your 3rd week. You're either deloading or you're going to push alpha leather in your 4th. And you've not even progressed over 4 weeks, you've progressed over 1 week. That's 3 weeks worth of almost wasted progress. Instead of spending 2 weeks getting into a block, then spending an extra 4 to 6 weeks really milking some progression. Location, 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 this innit. Who's this guy think he is? Moving to a new room every time he changes his topic. And what? My final mistake, the one that I've probably made in more recent years, is too much random fluffy shit. Drop sets, tempos, reps in reserve, RPE. I'm not saying those things don't have a place. They do. I'm not saying the odd intensifier era there doesn't have a place, but I would be very much looking for an advanced protocol for more extra fucking lovely muscle gain, when I were probably avoiding the fact that I wasn't really committing hard enough to the work that were in front of me. And if I'd have committed hard enough to my diet, to my rest, and to the work that were in front of me, simple, straight sets, patient progression, I would have grown more. And like I've said, there might be a place for drop sets, particularly from a time-saving perspective. There might be a place to focus quite heavily on tempos. Maybe if you're newer to this, or if you've got a niggle, or if you're just a little bit bored and you want something fancy to do. Definitely, right? There's room for this. Your reps in reserve and your RPE targets, there's definitely room for that if you're not able to gauge it well yourself. But at the point that I were at doing these, used to heavily rely on them when I should have just gone in and been like, right, week 1 to 2, don't hammer yourself. From week 3 onwards, don't hammer yourself if you're fucked, because be smart about it, because you've done this long enough to know now. But also, pick it up, just progress. What did you do last week? Can you beat it this week? And be honest with it. I think it's very easy to try to focus on the little blocks when you're really not focusing hard enough on the bigger blocks. And you can get so bogged down in is this the best tempo for gains? Do I need to add a 30-second stretch after every set to build more muscle? Should I be adding length and partials in? And it's almost that you add fluff on top of everything that takes up time, that can often lead you to being a lot more fatigued for very, very small extra gains actually. And often the fatigue, the mental fucking juggling that you have to do probably isn't worth the progress that you're gonna see. it wasn't for me. Right, and that's it. 5 gym mistakes I've made over the years that I truly believe / know have stopped me from building muscle. Shout out to messy unmade bed in background. Perfect microphone also. But hopefully that's been hopefully that's been a useful insight for you. Because as a coach, being on the front line of this, the mistakes I see lads making over and over again. So if we can kind of fast track you through making those mistakes, you hopefully reach a point where your gym work is exciting, it is progressing, it ain't beating you up, you are seeing more muscle year on year. For me right now, I train 4 to 5 times a week. It's all programmed, and I say 4 to 5, it's planned for that. Some weeks we're busier, or I might ache a little bit more because life and stress, and I've learned that if I have an optional 15, I can sometimes get it done and get a little bit more working and maybe grow a little bit more. But it's programmed, it's planned. I choose exercises that work for me, that I've learned over years really work well in terms of the movement themselves, in terms of not battering me, and in terms of me enjoying them. I've stepped away from bro splits and upper lower. Now, I've got no against upper lower or even push-pull legs. But for me, not having a full leg day works wonders. I like to not have to wobble around when I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I like to go into that without my legs being fucked. Generally follow training blocks now for 10 to 15 weeks at a time and then make some subtle changes and keep progressing. And I'm making some of the best progress I've seen in years. At 35, within dad life, with a stressy focus on doing this, building a business, looking after all of my clients, and trying to be as present as, not even as present as possible. I think that might do me a disservice. And making sure that I set an example at home as opposed to being distant and hiding away from dad life because I'm chasing my own goals. I don't want to be that guy. But I also want to make sure that what I'm doing is effective and efficient. Now, if you're falling at first hurdle and you haven't got a plan to follow at minute, if you're tired of trawling the internet for something, if you want a bit of an insight into what my training looks like, look below this. In description, there's a link to get my free full body workout plan. It has options for 3 or 4 sessions a week. It walks you through how you can progress. It even includes options for if you're low on time. It walks you through the exact progressions you can make. You can get yourself a logbook or an app and you can start to progress, build some muscle, or if you're in a dieting phase right now, see as much of that muscle as possible because your training is on point. Now, I didn't do this at the start, so I can't say, yes, YouTube, we're back now, but yes, YouTube, we're done. If you haven't already, lads, please make sure you subscribe to this. Pop a like on it. I hope it's been mad helpful, very practical. It might even have left you with more questions than answers, but if it has, that's okay. Pop them below. Don't be afraid to reach out to me. Follow me on Instagram because you have to get those questions answered to start to move forward. And if you are confused, it's okay. If that's made things more clearer for you though, fucking brilliant. But if you are confused, that's just led you on to your next step to start asking the right questions. So, thanks lads. We're done. Speak to you soon.